Hi
Hi
everyone,
everyone,
how's
how's
everyone
everyone
doing
doing
tonight?
tonight?
Please
Please
let us
let us
know
know
if you
if you
can
can
hear us
hear us
well
well
and
and
from
from
which part
which
of the
part of the
world you're
world you're
watching.
watching.
This
This
Facebook
Facebook
Live
Live
will
will
last
last
about
about
45
45
minutes
minutes
and we'll
and we'll
talk
talk
about
about
inner
inner
intuition
intuition
to
to
relieve
release
stress.
stress.
Our
Our
special
special
guest
guest
today
today
is an
is an
American
American
intuitive
intuitive
coach and
coach and
energy
energy
clearing
clearing
specialist.
specialist.
If you
If
want
you
to
want to
find
find
out
out
more
more
about our
about our
Facebook
Facebook
Lives,
Lives,
please
please
subscribe
subscribe
to the
to the
link that
link
I'm
that
going
I'm
to
going
put
to
on the
put on the
chat
chat
box.
box.
Most of
Most of
them
them
are in
are in
Spanish,
Spanish,
but I
but I
have
have
some in
some in
English
English
like
like
today.
today.
I want
I
to
want to
remind you
remind you
that my
that my
company,
company,
Exceso
Exceso
Potencial,
Potencial,
has the
has the
purpose of
purpose of
helping
helping
companies to
companies to
refocus
refocus
stress
stress
so
so
that they
that they
can
can
improve their
improve their
productivity,
productivity,
results, and
results,
the
and the
quality of
quality of
relationships
relationships
across the
across the
organization.
organization.
As a
As a
transformational
transformational
coach, I
coach, I
also
also
help
help
successful
successful
professionals to
professionals to
release their
release their
inner
inner
mental
mental
jail
jail
throughout
throughout
life,
life,
built
built
throughout life,
throughout life,
so that they
so that
can
they can
find
find
balance and
balance and
fulfillment
fulfillment
that
that
they
they
want.
want.
And
And
today,
today,
our
our
special
special
guest
guest
is
is
MANDA
MANDA
STACK.
STACK.
She's a
She's a
behind the
behind the
scenes
scenes
oracle of
oracle of
successful
successful
businesswoman.
businesswoman.
As an
As an
intuitive
intuitive
coach and
coach and
energy
energy
clearing
clearing
specialist,
specialist,
she
she
helps you
helps you
connect
connect
with your
with your
inner
inner
knowing
knowing
in
in
order to
order
gain
to gain
confidence
confidence
and
and
achieve
achieve
your
your
goals.
goals.
She's
She's
passionate
passionate
about
about
clearing the
clearing the
connection
connection
between
between
you and
you
the
and the
divine
divine
source that
source that
you can
you can
receive the
receive the
freedom,
freedom,
flow,
flow,
enjoying
enjoying
life,
life,
business
business
that
that
you
you
deserve.
deserve.
Along with
Along with
being a
being a
professional
professional
intuitive,
intuitive,
Manda is
Manda is
also a
also a
blogger,
blogger,
an
an
ordained
ordained
minister,
minister,
as well
as
as a
well as a
former
former
church
church
pastor,
pastor,
a
a
certified
certified
energy
energy
clearing
clearing
practitioner,
practitioner,
and a
and a
certified
certified
transformational
transformational
retreat
retreat
leader.
leader.
So,
So,
Manda,
Manda,
it's a
it's a
pleasure to
pleasure to
have you
have you
here
here
tonight.
tonight.
If you
If
want to
you want
give
to give
some
some
high
high
words to
words to
our
our
audience
audience
today.
today. Wonderful. Thank you. Hello, everyone. And thank you, Stephanie, for having me on here tonight. Buenas noches. And I've been a frequent watcher of your Facebook Lives and really love the value that you're providing. And I'm so honored to be your guest here tonight. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. I'm
you.
so
I'm so
happy to
happy to
have you
have you
here. It's
here.
so
It's so
exciting.
exciting.
Excellent,
Excellent.
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 No,
No,
and please
please
comment
comment
comment on
comment
the
on the
chat
chat
box
box
if
if
everything is
everything is
okay,
okay,
if
if
our
our
sound is
sound is
clear and
clear and
everything.
everything.
I was
I was
hearing
hearing
an
an
echo
echo
when we
when we
started with
started with
Manda
Manda
didn't hear
didn't
it,
hear
so
it,
I
so
just
I
want
just
to
want
make
to make
sure that
sure
you
that
don't
you don't
have it.
have it.
And it's
And it's
only me.
only me.
And
And
if
even if
it's so,
so,
it's
it's
okay.
okay.
So
So
I want
I
to
want
ask
to
our
ask our
audience
audience
our
our
first
first
question
question
here from
here
our
from our
conversation.
conversation.
What do
What
you
do
think,
you think,
Manda?
Manda? Yeah, so I'm really excited to talk today about intuition and why it's important. And I think it's a really important topic because we use intuition all the time, though we may not really be aware of it. And it's especially important for our decision making. I'm going to be talking about decisions. So as I'm talking, you might want to think about, those of you who are listening, is there a decision that is weighing on your mind that you're contemplating that you know you need to make, but you haven't reached the conclusion yet? So I just invite you to hold your decision, your pending decision here in this space. And maybe through our conversation today here, Stephanie, you will get some intuitive information about which direction to go with your decision.
I
I
love
love
that. I
that. I
love that.
love
I
that. I
think
think
that's a
that's a
great
great
introduction to
introduction
the
to the
topic,
topic,
and
and
especially the
especially the
people,
people,
our
our
guests,
guests,
our
our
audience,
audience
start
start
thinking
thinking
about a
about a
difficult
difficult
decision
decision
or a
or a
very
very
important
important
decision
decision
that
that
you're about
you're
to
about to
take.
take. Yeah.
So,
So
I want
I
to
want to
ask
ask
the
the
audience:
audience,
do you
do
use
you
your
use your
intuition to
intuition to
take
take
decisions in
decisions
your
in your
life?
life?
And how
And how
often do
often
you
do you
do that?
do that?
So
So
let's
let's
wait what
wait what
the
the
right.
right. Yes,
And
great
while we
question.
answer you, I want
I
to
want
ask
to
you
ask you
something,
something,
Manda.
Manda. Yeah.
Why would
Why would
someone
someone
want to
want to
develop their
develop their
intuition?
intuition?
We've
We've
been
been
taught
taught
that
that
we
we
have to
have to
follow
follow
what the
what the
numbers
numbers
say, what
say,
the
what the
reports
reports
say,
say,
and
and
kind of like
kind of like
we
we
lost
lost
like that connection with our intuition throughout our lives. That means we have it, and then somewhere we lost it, and sometimes we feel even terrified, afraid or terrified to take a decision, taking into account our intuition. So what
Yeah,
can you tell us about it?
you captured that well. I think we all use our logical thinking and our minds to make decisions, rational decisions, and there's definitely a time and place for that, and we're really grateful that we have minds, thinking minds that can help us think through things.
Hmm.
And yet, if we're not tapping into our inner wisdom, we're missing out on a whole area of potential information there for us that can help guide us in our lives and in our decisions. And you're right. We most people by the time they reach adulthood have lost connection to their inner knowing, to their ability to really hear it and trust it.
Hmm.
Children naturally are kind of in and out of that way of thinking and playing with the world and the information around them. But through the years, we get some messages, usually from our families, about what we need to do to stay in line, to be accepted, and then gradually over time, we don't take those risks anymore, and we follow the status quo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me, they are here listening to the echo. Let me try. I'm going to change mine.
There is an echo. Okay. Technical break here, everyone.
Yeah. Let me, is there still an echo? Do you hear an echo?
I do not hear an echo, but maybe our listeners do.
Okay. Let's try to see. If you guys still hear an echo, please let me know. And thank you for letting me know that I have that echo.
Hmm.
We'll see what happens. So meanwhile, I want to ask the audience, have you considered using your intuition to manage stress? And while you answer that, Amanda, I want to ask you, how can intuition help manage anxiety and stress?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing about that is for us to know how our intuition speaks to us, and what is true intuition, and what is all the other information or fears talking or anxiety talking. Because true intuition is kind of a neutral message. It's not laden with fear or a lot of emotion. And true intuition is kind of just a neutral message, like some information coming through. So intuition will never call you names or berate you or yell at you. That is more outside messages that maybe you've internalized. So managing our, if we're not talking nicely to ourselves, then that adds to our stress.
Okay. They are saying that they still hear me with an echo. Let me try
An echo for
something
you.
else.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yep. Pause for technical difficulties. Aha. Okay, bringing out the new mic.
Oh, yeah, we'll try this. And now I still listen.
Yeah, now I hear it. Mhm.
Mhm. I'll see. I don't know what's going on. I listen to it. I don't know where it is. Now I'm not anymore.
Oh,
It's gone magically.
okay.
The amazing things about technology, you never know. Well, I don't listen to it anymore. I just want to ask the audience if the echo is still there, just in case you listen to it. But this is funny. I never, ask myself, like, what was it? How did it come? Or how did it go? Because this, I don't know. It doesn't even make sense sometimes. Yeah. Now they say that now they're writing in Spanish, but they say now they can hear me well. So
Ah,
I'm going to do a short recap for those of you who didn't listen well. So, from the questions I made, because I think you were really, really clear, Manda, and we can, continue building on the conversation. The first question I asked the audience was if you use your intuition to take decisions in your life and how often you do that. And meanwhile, I asked Manda, why would someone want to develop their intuition? So, and how important it is, to as Manda was saying, to connect to your inner wisdom, because the decisions you make out of your intuition are much different. And there's something here that I want to touch base with you, Manda, regarding this, and it's the fact that sometimes we think it's our intuition speaking, but actually it's our mind.
yeah.
So, what can you say about that?
Yes, our minds are good at getting in the way and taking over, right? And rationalizing, for sure. Yeah. In fact, intuition is known to be kind of quick. Like it'll give you a little bit of information, and then there it is. And then our thinking mind wants to come in and analyze it and figure it out and weigh the pros and cons. So again, intuition has this kind of clear, neutral feeling to it. Any intuitive messages that we get would
Mhm.
not be weighed down with a lot of thinking or a lot of emotion.
Excellent. And how can you discern, besides the fact that the intuition comes fast? Like, what have you encountered in your coaching practice that people normally tend, because each of us has a different way of communicating with our
Yeah.
intuition. For example, for me, is I I see in my mind, obviously. I picture myself or visualize like words, and I feel it in my body. Sometimes I feel it like all over, sometimes in my head, sometimes in my heart, sometimes in my feet. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But it comes like, and sometimes you're even talking to someone and kind of like a thing just pops up.
Mhm.
Like, what have you encountered, like, so people can know like what to look for and
Yes.
discern from intuition and mind?
Yeah, what you describe is a beautiful way of setting the stage, because we all have different ways of receiving. Like you sometimes see words or get body physical sensations. So if you think about our five senses, hearing, smell, nose, sight, touch, taste.
Mhm.
The five senses are each connected with intuitive abilities. So sometimes people will hear words. Sometimes they'll see like a scene or even see words. Sometimes they'll get a gut feeling, like a heavy feeling in their stomach, like maybe that wouldn't be good to do.
Mhm.
So, for example, I think one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about helping people learn their own style of receiving their intuition, of hearing it and trusting it,
Mhm.
is because I think we've all had those experiences where, in hindsight, we see that that was my intuition talking and I should have listened, but I didn't. And I have a
Exactly.
story. I mean, I'm a work in progress too. A number of years ago, I was sitting across a restaurant booth on a first date with my now ex-husband. I mean, you kind of know how the story goes because of that. But it was our first date. I was just meeting him, and we were just starting to talk. And I heard, one of the ways I get intuitive information sometimes is to hear things. I heard this little voice say, "He's not the one." And it was so quick, and it wasn't like a blaring message. It was just this little like, "Oh, hello." And I
Uh-huh.
heard it. I heard that. I heard it loud and clear, but I kept talking with him. Of course, I didn't want to get up and leave. That would be rude. And of course, I kept dating him because I had just moved to the area and I was kind of lonely. So there's my mind and my emotions kind of getting clouding that beautiful intuitive message that came through. And, we got married, and then a while later it didn't work out, and we got divorced. So, sometimes our intuition is spot on, and we have to learn the hard way. We sometimes not listening to our intuition costs us money, time, heartache, hard-earned lessons, and not necessarily that it was wrong to do that and go through that experience. Like, we all learn from things that maybe we shouldn't have done but did, right? We come out all the wiser. So but my goodness, what would it be like if we could hear a message or feel something or see some information for us intuitively and trust it and act on it? I mean, just think how much more smoothly our lives would flow, how much easier it would be for us, right?
Mm-hmm. No, it changes completely, because the other thing is you go from a place of your inner wisdom, as you were saying earlier. You go from a place, I believe, you connect with your heart when you listen to your intuition. So you're going from a place of compassion, of love, of like a light and positive energy,
Mhm.
instead of just doing or just thinking it might be, and analyzing things. And sometimes there's nothing to analyze. It's just,
Yeah.
it is or it isn't.
And
And
sometimes it's inconvenient to listen to our intuition because
of course,
yeah, we're if we do follow our inner wisdom, oftentimes it goes against what maybe some other people want for us. It goes against the norms expected of us. Um, if we take a job that we are really excited about, but other people, don't understand, but it really lights us up, that's our choice, right?
yeah. And that's something that we all need to work on, because sometimes and sometimes what our intuition tells us is completely irrational even.
Yeah. Yes.
That's even worse, because it's like,
Yeah.
what? That I should go, my intuition says I should go and climb the volcano, for example. I never climbed a volcano before, things like that, because sometimes intuition gives you like very weird messages.
It can take us way out of our comfort zone for sure. And that
Yeah.
can be a good thing. It can be a really
Yeah,
good thing, really expansive, life expanding experience that our inner wisdom is calling us to.
exactly. But how do we discern?
Well, and it's my work is about helping people get familiar with how their intuition works, because it's like a muscle. It's like using a muscle and building a relationship with how your inner wisdom and your intuition works, so that you can use it for smaller things, so that when you arrive at a big decision, you already have laid the foundation for knowing how to call on your inner wisdom, how to access it, and how to trust it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. And since I was doing recap from, this was question one, I'm going to question two for the audience. Um, have you considered using your intuition to manage stress and anxiety? And going, and this has to do as well with discerning, because sometimes it's like we're so anxious or we feel so stressed that we're not able to discern black and white, and because we're so overwhelmed that we don't know. I mean, here, and you were talking about like how it helps manage stress, but I would ask you like one thing, that because in those overwhelming moments it's very, very hard to really tune in to our and listen to our intuition. What would you recommend to be able to have that moment and space and really connect and listen to what our intuition has to say regarding why we're feeling anxious, or why we're overwhelmed with stress, like all these situations?
Yeah, what a beautiful question. And I can very much relate with that. When you're in a state of high alert or extreme stress or even anxiety, you don't have much access at all to that inner wisdom. In fact, intuition thrives when our nervous system is calm. And so, a big part of my work also is helping people learn how to regulate their nervous system. And a lot of us have some old trauma living in our system where we kind of, we're kind of at this base level of fight, flight, or flee or
Mhm.
freeze. Our nervous systems have taken over, and when we're in that state, um, you can't access your intuition. So the first step is to be able to regulate. And I know for some
Self-regulate.
people, even that can be challenging because, being in your body may not feel safe. And, when you do settle in, it's uncomfortable, and maybe some memories or old thoughts start coming up. So in that case, if it's really extreme, I want to encourage people to get some support to really help them learn how to regulate their nervous system, to release some stress and trauma. So, in the extreme cases, yes, please get some support. And then for everyday situations where it's not necessarily chronic, but more maybe situation related, step one is to do whatever you can, whatever works for you, to bring down your level of anxiety, whether that's deep breathing, whether that's going for a walk, how embodiment, like intuition, since I spoke earlier how our intuitive senses are connected with our five senses.
Mhm.
So when we are embodied, when we're anchored physically in our body, we can much more easily access the inner wisdom that our intuition wants to share with us.
Yeah, I love that. And in that regard, a question just popped up to my mind. Like, to really be able to listen to our intuition, it's very important first to get connected to our bodies, right? If we're disconnected, is you're not able to access that, right?
No, no, in my experience, very rarely.
Yeah, because and I was thinking about my path, that I was completely disconnected from my body, and I you don't realize it until you find something that actually triggers the fact or makes me realize that I was disconnected. And for me,
Mm,
it was when I started practicing yoga. There, I noticed that I didn't even know my body, or
mm,
all the power, all the things that my body did for me, and how I could be gentle and at the same time tough, and
mm.
move my body to a healthy extreme, because I was used to unhealthy extremes, taking my body like too tough, too much, but not necessarily in a compassionate way. It was more like of a pushing way, and I realized I wasn't connected at all with my body, or not even grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that what you described there is a pretty common experience. So, a lot of people enter into or become aware of for the first time how disconnected they are when they do start something, a practice like yoga or meditation or mindfulness. It takes them on the journey inward, and it can be a big learning experience.
It is. No, for me,
Yeah.
it was life changing, definitely. And I always say I recommend yoga to everyone. And I know it's not for everybody, but I
Yeah.
do recommend it.
Yeah.
Because it changed my life, But
Mm.
and I know, and it's even harder. And what I've seen in my coaching practice, and probably you've seen it as well, people who have lived traumas like rapes are even more disconnected from
Oh,
their
yeah.
bodies.
Yeah.
So that is even harder, and that's as part of, if any of you that are listening went through something like that, first step is to get help, and
Mhm.
that's a diagnosis with a specialist, psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, and follow, the orders of the doctor, so to say,
Mhm.
and start look. looking for things that are going to help you connect with your body. If you have as well, I think it happened. What I've seen as well is people that are having eating disorders. It's the same thing. They're completely disconnected. So it's very important there to get help and reconnect to your body. If you start reconnecting, then intuition will flow
It
very
opens up.
easily.
Yes, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. I I want to show you a comment from one Aida Patricia. It's great to have you here. Welcome. When you lose your peace, then you're disconnected with your inner intuition.
Yes. Yeah. Well
Yeah, and
said.
it's a little bit of what we were saying. When we're stressed out or anxious, we're not able to connect. It's unfortunately it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So,
And if you want, either now or toward the end of our time together, I have a really brief little exercise that I can lead us through to come into our bodies and tap into our inner wisdom.
oh, I would love we can do that. I'm just going
Yeah.
to, tell the audience that arrive a little bit later,
Mhm.
just to uh, m- help you catch up. We are talking today about inner intuition to relieve stress, and with Manda Stack, an American intuitive coach and energy clearing specialist. If you want to find out more about our programs and our trainings, please contact me, and I'm going to leave you the contact details there, and we can start with the exercise, Manda. So,
All right, beautiful. So, for everyone that is listening along, you can do this anytime, even if you're driving. So you don't have to close your eyes. This is a little brief exercise that you can do anywhere, anytime, and it helps your nervous system to kind of calm down and for you to come into your body. This is called orienting, and it's based on the five senses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through each sense, and I'm going to ask you to notice something with each of your senses. So all your only job here is to just notice as I walk you through this. Okay, you ready? All right.
perfect.
So I invite you to, using your eyes vision, find five things that you see around you, and it can be something simple like a pen or a tree out the window. So go ahead. Count five things that you see. Okay. And now I'm going to invite you to feel four things. Feel, and maybe that's fabric on your skin or a breeze on your face. So feel four things.
It can be the same or different things, right?
Well, try to get four well in different areas.
Okay.
The chair that you're sitting in. So four things you feel. Okay. You got it?
Yes.
And now we're going to do three things that you hear. Three things with your hearing. All right. And it gets more subtle as we go along. So now, two things that you smell. Two things that you smell. And last, one thing that you taste. All right. So I'd love to hear maybe from someone who's been listening along how that was, or how was that for you, Stephanie?
It was very interesting because it was connecting first to the senses, like, and then looking for things. Like, okay, where do I look? The most difficult one was the smell, but in my case, I normally don't smell anything, Some people say that's a curse. I believe it's for me it's not. On the other hand, it's a blessing because bad smells you don't want to you don't want to smell that. So
True,
so
true.
I was like, no smell. That was a hard one for me. And the taste, I was between the tea and the water, but then I thought, well,
Mhm.
I smell the tea, then I'm drinking the water.
There you
Yes,
go. Yeah.
very, very present to everything.
That's what it does. It gets you very present, and it's so simple. It's so simple and quick, and it's something you can do throughout your day, and help you anchor into your physical body using your senses.
Yeah, a very easy exercise. Andrea, welcome. It's great to have you here. She's saying, brought memories I wasn't thinking about. That's
Uh-huh.
really special.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Great. If someone else wants to share, please do so. And meanwhile, I want to ask the audience if you have any questions for Manda. I think this is the time to ask while we still have some time left. And while you ask anything you want to know, eh, I want to ask you, Manda, what tips would you give people to hear their intuition and how to handle it better when there are situations of stress and anxiety that doesn't allow them to go into their intuition?
Yeah. Well, uh, I think sometimes you just have to ride the waves of a stressful situation and know that you're just not going to be able to access your inner wisdom for a little while. I was in that situation earlier this weekend where I was just going through, a stressful time, and I knew that I wouldn't have time for a little while to actually get quiet and do my own practices that help me come down, like journaling or going out for a walk. So, sometimes we just have to kind of get through a situation. And then when we have the chance to do whatever it is that helps us calm down and become embodied, then we can hear our inner wisdom. And I have on my website, I have a free guide that anyone can go and get. My website is mydivineintuition.com. And I have 7 techniques that you can use to tap into your inner wisdom, especially for decision making. So I have some writing techniques that you can use to, sometimes writing helps you hear your inner wisdom more than just thinking about it. I have some other techniques using your dreams. Like if you go to bed at night, you can ask for some information to come through in your dreams, and then maybe keep a little journal by your bedside so you can write it down so you don't forget. So I would encourage anyone who wants to play around with different ways of connecting with their intuition, to go ahead and get my free guide and start playing, because I really see intuition as playfulness. It's not serious or hard or heavy. It's a gift. And I love playing around with words, and the Latin root word of intuition is tuere, which means to guard and to protect. So our intuition serves a purpose. It is there for us. It's to help us navigate the world. It's an inner guidance system. So we really want to do what we can to develop our abilities to hear, that beautiful inner wisdom that is there for us, that was, I think we're wired that way. I named my business My Divine Intuition because I believe that God created us to have access to this beautiful inner wisdom so that we can, live lives that are in the flow and loving and connected with others. I mean, there's so many messages out and about, people telling us what to buy, what to think, what to wear. But where is our inner truth in all of that? And sometimes that gets lost in all the messages that are swirling around. So it really is a benefit if you can develop your own inner guidance system.
Excellent. I put on the chat box your contact details and your website so people can go and grab the free
Fantastic.
guide. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I want to share with you, Carolina Quiñones, it's great to have you here. She commented on the exercise, simple way to be here and now.
Yeah.
And exactly, and sometimes we just need that.
Mhm.
That simple way of just going back to the present moment and not overthinking the past or the future. And Andrea has a question. She's saying, how do you know if it's your intuition or your imagination? or just wishful thinking?
That's a great question. And it does come with practice. Um, for some people, they need some time to really hear their intuition. And some people can hear it and make a really quick decision based on that. Other times, people need to kind of sit with it for a while and really feel into it. Um, and I don't think there's actually anything wrong with imagination or wishful thinking necessarily. I think that's part of the playfulness. If you imagine into what kind of job you want, or what kind of relationship, or where you want to live, there's a lot of power in being able to imagine that. So I don't think they're two separate things necessarily. I think that they can complement each other.
Yeah, I agree with you. Um, Andrea, let us know if this answers your question. I think it was a very, very deep answer. And Carolina, great to have you here. She was helping out, saying that she couldn't listen to me or that I was echoing. So thank you for that, Carolina. And she's saying it's to be here and now regarding the exercise. So yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. So um, I don't know, they're talking about something else here that I don't get it. I don't know if any of you have more questions, and I want to ask you, Manda, if there's something else you want to share with the audience before we finish our Facebook Live today.
Yeah, one of the reasons I am so passionate about connecting with our inner wisdom, our intuition, is because of the primary place of decisions in our lives. I don't think we realize how many decisions we make every day. In fact, there was a study done by Cornell University about how many decisions an adult person makes each day. Stephanie, do you want to take a guess? How many on average?
Wow, on
How many
average,
decisions? Yes, I'd one day.
in one day, 15,000? 1,500,
30,
sorry.
35,000 decisions a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of them are micro decisions. Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
sitting there at working and you think to yourself, should I get up now and get something to drink? Or,
Mm-hmm.
just these little
Should I go to the
adjustments.
bathroom now?
Yeah. That we're constantly, maybe even almost subconsciously playing with, or that are operating. But more for the big decisions, like I said earlier, if we can develop a working understanding of how our system talks to us and how it gives us our intuitive messages, especially for the smaller decisions, you can play around with it, like, oh, what should I wear today, and go through your closet and don't overthink it, and just you know pull something out and play with it, so that as you use your intuition for smaller decisions, like what food to eat or what restaurant to go to, then when you do face the crossroads of the bigger life decisions, like moving or relationships or jobs or caregiving, or all these big things that we all face at one time or another, when that comes to us, we have the tools already at hand, and we can trust ourselves, because when we trust ourselves, that really brings a lot of the peace and calm and ability to navigate a world that can be kind of challenging sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. A tool that I've started to use that has helped me to listen, like, because as you were saying, listen to your intuition is practice, practice, practice. I started using the muscle test.
Oh,
I don't know. I
yes.
I
Muscle testing is great. Kinesthetic. So our body has a lot of
Mhm.
inner knowing. And do you want to share a bit about what your technique is, or what you
Well,
use it for?
the first technique, I think it's very easy. It's just to, I'm going to do it. So
Yeah,
to show you guys,
great.
is you stand up from, I don't know how much, and then you think, okay, and it's with question of yes and no. It's not like give me the word or something like that. No,
Mhm.
it's very simple, yes and no. So okay, I concentrate and I relax. I'm going to do it exaggerated, but it's what comes to me. So normally, for me, the yes is my body moves to the front,
Mm-hmm.
and a no, it moves to the back. So that's one way. So you start asking questions like, and to make sure that's accurate, you need to ask three questions that are like they are the way they are. For example, you know, am I a woman? Yes. Am I
Mm-hmm.
a man? No. You know, my name is Stephanie. Yes. My
Yeah.
name is Maria. No. And what else? Eh, I live in Guatemala. Yes. I live in the US. No. You know, like questions that are like so you can confirm that the movement or it's accurate.
Fantastic. Yeah, and that's called a sway test, a sway test. And I have taught that in my workshops before, and it's a great way for you to start trusting your body signals. And it's so easy, and it's amazing that it works, but it does, right?
It does. It does. Because I've learned others, and I think that one is the easiest one.
Yeah.
Because I learned this one, I
Uh-huh.
learned this one,
Mhm.
I learned, oh, there one the finger. You put it on a table and you press, and if it goes down or if it just stays here. But I
Yeah.
think those are more difficult. Like you might overthinking and do, you know, but the one going to the front or to the back, well, that's for me. For other people could be to the side or even, you know, yes to the front and no to the side. I mean, it
Mhm.
varies, you know, but something that makes sense to you. And it really, it's, you know, it has helped me starting connecting more with my intuition.
Fantastic example, Stephanie. Thank you.
Yeah. Something else you want to add before we say goodbye?
All right. So that orienting exercise 5 4 3 2 1 is something you can do anytime, anywhere, and I encourage you to do that if you do feel a little scattered or stressed out. It's a good way to bring yourself back into your body. And when you're in your body, what happens? You're able to better hear your inner wisdom. Yeah.
Exactly. So thank you guys. Some goodbye words to our audience, Manda.
Thank you, one and all. Please check out my website and grab that free decision making guide to play with your intuition on mydivineintuition.com. It's been great to be here with you, Stephanie, and everyone.
Now, thank you for being our guest today, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you to the audience for listening, for your questions, for your comments, and I hope to see you next week. So take care and have a great night.